This offseason, the Chicago Bulls made a splash, signing Demar Derozan, Alex Caruso, Lonzo Ball, and even more role players for their roster. And inevitably, it did work out. I mean, they've got some success from it. But the biggest question surrounding this roster and what it can do was its ability to perform against great teams. I mean, DeMar DeRozan has always been a great regular season player. He's been like that since like 2015. And he has never slowed down, making multiple All-Star games, All-NBA teams, the list goes on. However, though, his inability to perform in the playoffs has always been a struggle for him. And at this point, it might be looking like it's something similar happening. The Bulls, against some of the top teams in the NBA, are 1-13. Yes, that's right, the Chicago Bulls, a team that so-called has an MVP candidate, has a chance of making the Eastern Conference Finals, and also is one of the most dynamic, surprising teams this season, cannot beat any good teams. And I wonder why. I mean, a lot of people might put it on DeMar's back. DeMar DeRozan isn't playing well enough in these games, and stats kind of prove that. Yet also, DeMar DeRozan has been clutch in close games against mediocre teams. So which side should we take? DeMar DeRozan is clutch because he beats some mediocre teams, or DeMar DeRozan is not clutch because he sucks against good teams? In the end of the day, what I see the Bulls doing is they're beating the bad teams, and that's great. All you really have to do to make the playoffs is to beat the bad teams. However, if you look at their last couple losses, lost against Milwaukee, lost against Atlanta. Atlanta's probably the exception this year. They're not too good this year. Miami, a loss. Memphis, one of the top teams in the West, a loss. Phoenix, lost to them. Philly, lost to them. Milwaukee, lost to them. Boston, lost to them. Warriors, lost to them. Brooklyn, lost to them. And Dallas, lost to them. All the teams that they are losing to are good teams. And then if we look at their past couple wins, the teams that they beat, I mean, it is Atlanta, Sacramento, San Antonio Spurs, OKC, and Minnesota. There's a trend here, and that is that the Bulls will go on win streaks, and they'll look resilient and great and postseason ready when they're playing against trash teams. But when it comes down to it, they cannot beat the best teams in the league. And I don't know if the Bulls know this, but to win an NBA championship or to compete in the playoffs in general, you have to beat the best teams in the league, something that they cannot do. You know, I want to point out this loss that the Bulls had the other night because it was very telling of their success this season. I mean, over the first three quarters, they looked good and resilient. In the previous quarter, they in fact shot extremely well from the field. However, in this fourth quarter, they lost to Milwaukee 24-37. They scored 24, Milwaukee scored 37. And a big culprit of not showing up in this fourth quarter was DeMar DeRozan. I know people don't want to hear that DeMar DeRozan might be the reason the Bulls will lose this season, but he was a negative 13 shooting 22% from the field. He hit a three-pointer, which sure, the made three-pointer by DeMar DeRozan is basically just luck. You know, he's not a good three-point shooter at all. Nonetheless, in the clutch time when they had to get it done, they shot 39% from the field and 67% from the free throw line. DeMar DeRozan, 2 for 9 from the field. These are things that are just kind of routine for the Bulls this season, giving up fourth quarter leads in which they shouldn't. They are better than these teams in these instances, and they had a lead going into the third quarter. However, though, they forfeited it by an ugly fourth quarter. Alright, then let's look at the other game which they had a lot of competition in, and this is the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat are known for their defense, and so crushingly that they held Joel Embiid to 4 for 15 shooting today. They absolutely fucked Embiid, I'm not gonna lie. But anyway, Joel Embiid is just a representation of how elite this Miami team defense is. They might not be the best singular defenders, but they can lock you up and give you hell. The reason they've lost in postseasons is actually because their offense hasn't been good enough. So in a defensive slaughter, let's see what the Bulls did in a third quarter that would swing the momentum in one way. The Bulls, 36% from the field, 8 for 22, 25% from the three-point line, 2 for 8 with 21 points. The Miami Heat scored 36. It was a blowout, and in the end, it was a bunch of garbage time in the fourth quarter. Nonetheless, the Bulls are losing because they beat themselves. They cannot beat good teams because they just can't show up in clutch situations. So now, since people want to say that the Bulls have a chance to contend, or at least make the conference finals this year, let's see their production against probably the best team in the East this year, the Philadelphia 76ers. Side note, this was before James Harden even joined the team. This was when Tobias Harris was playing big time minutes and taking more shots than anybody else on the roster besides Embiid. So let's look at this, okay? Going into the fourth quarter, the Bulls are down 89-81. So they definitely have to pull something out of their bag of tricks and beat this team, a team that is not the best high-scoring team in the NBA, but sure, they have a dominant big in Joel Embiid. The craziest thing about this fourth quarter is Joel Embiid got no free throw attempts. So they accomplished their mission of keeping Joel Embiid off the free throw line. Part of what makes Joel Embiid such a dominant player in this NBA is the fact that he averages 12 free throw attempts a game. Free throws are the easiest shot in the game that's not a layup. And Joel Embiid gets a lot of them. And the fact that you let him get none of them in the fourth quarter shows why you are losing games. Because DeMar DeRozan in the fourth quarter again, 2 for 7 from the field, 0 for 2 from 3. A -3 with 1 turnover. Now, I'm not saying DeMar DeRozan is the only reason that they lose games, but in this fourth quarter, I mean, they just yet again could not produce. 8 for 20 from the field, 3 for 10 from 3, and they made all their free throws, which is fine, but they were all negatives in this fourth quarter. DeMar DeRozan is in the MVP race. I agree with you. He has the right to be there, but let's never put the connotation that the Bulls can be a contender in this league, because quite frankly, they are far from it. Contender has a chance to win the championship and a chance to just make it deep in the playoffs. Those are two things that the Bulls will not be doing anytime soon. So let's keep contender and Bulls away from each other. It's a good regular season team, and a contender is more than a good regular season team. So what I wanted to tell you here was that DeMar DeRozan is not showing up in the fourth quarter. And I understand that. I don't want to be on his ass about it. He's had a great season. I don't want to chop down on what he's already done. But again, without that fourth quarter production or those swing quarter productions like the third quarter, which is normally a big quarter for many teams, you're not getting anywhere in this league. And that's where the Bulls are going. Nowhere. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Watch my previous video on the playoff predictions. And yeah, I'll see y'all next time. Peace out.
Hey, come on, I got a bag on me. You try to take it, leave you stinking like your last homie. She kinda cakey, little baby, put that ass on me. But I ain't that horny, do you got some cash for me? Why every time you ask him that, bitches act funny. And you keep trying to hold the strap, you won't slap for me. You too happy, I can tell you never had money. Every time you get on live, gotta flash money.